and welcome to this live webinar in partnership with the University of North Carolina, Wilmington. I am Ilaria from Docsity, and I'm glad to be here today with Riley Aldridge, Assistant Director of International Admission, and Ope, who is attending the International Master of Business. I see that more participants are joining, so welcome and thanks for participating in this live event with the University of North Carolina, Wilmington. If you have any questions during the event, feel free to drop them into the Q&A box and we will be more than happy to take them in the last part of our event. I now leave the floor to Riley Aldridge, Assistant Director of International Admission and student of the International Master of Business, who will introduce the university, its academic offer and services. Welcome both and thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having us. As mentioned, my name is Riley. I oversee our international admissions here at the University of North Carolina, Wilmington. Today's presentation, I will be going through advice on applying to public universities in the U.S., as well as information on University of North Carolina, Wilmington in particular. So I'll be covering a variety of topics listed here. We'll be going through the benefits of a public university, University of North Carolina, Wilmington, and our application process, tips for applying, funding your education, and last but not least, we will finish with a Q&A with a UNCW international student, Ope, who has kindly joined us today. I will let her introduce herself at the end of the presentation, and she will be here to answer any questions you all might have regarding studying in the United States, studying at UNCW, advice from a current student, anything that you would want to ask her. And then after that, I will leave additional time for questions that you might have more particular to the admissions process or just applying to a university in the US that I might be able to answer better as well. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So the benefits of applying to a public university. Almost 75% of US students attend public universities. It is the largest serving population for colleges and universities in the United States. Some of the benefits are as listed. It is typically less expensive than private universities. You'll see the cost of attendance tends to be lower. University of North Carolina, Wilmington in particular is one of the most cost-effective institutions in the Southeast. You typically see more diverse student bodies, larger population, so more opportunity for the diversity on campus to be represented. More student clubs and extracurricular activities to be involved in. So if you're looking to get involved while in university, that's a big thing to consider. At UNCW, we offer a number of clubs and organizations. We are part of the NCAA Division I athletics program. We have club sports. We have student government. So you name it, we probably have it. There's also more on-campus employment opportunities available. Ope is actually a graduate assistant in our Office of International Students. So she is a great example of these opportunities that do exist for students in regards to on-campus employment. Larger athletics programs. So as mentioned, we are part of the NCAA Division I sports team. So we do have our soccer or football, basketball, swimming, beach volleyball, tennis, golf, and several others that I can't think of right now. There are also more course offerings at public institutions typically, so more majors to select from, more classes to select from as well, and opportunities for academic support. You will have an academic advisor at a school like UNCW who is with you throughout the duration of your program to assist you with registering for classes and ensuring you're graduating in time and all of that as well. So a bit about University of North Carolina, Wilmington, or UNCW. UNCW is one of North Carolina's 16 public universities and is constantly recognized as the national level for academic excellence and affordability. We are located in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is on the beach, as you can see in my beautiful background. We are a coastal town in the southeast, just minutes away from a number of beaches. Being in the southeast, we are in close proximity to a number of large cities as well. So that being Miami, Charlotte, Washington, D.C., New York City as well. We have our international airport about 6 miles from campus, making it very easy to navigate and get to not only Wilmington, but to those large cities in our area as well. We have over 18,000 students on campus with more than 60 undergraduate majors and 40 graduate programs as well. Being a large institution, we do have a small school feel with our average class size being 27 and our student to faculty ratio being 18:1. So even though we are a large public institution, we do maintain small class sizes to ensure that you have that individualized experience during your time here at UNCW. We also have over 900 international students on campus as well. So a bit about our offerings. As I mentioned, we have over 60 undergraduate programs and 40 graduate programs. Most popular programs include business, information systems and technology, data science, health science, psychology, and marine biology as well. We also have our International Students and Scholars Service Office to support international students with advising, host programs, events, and excursions. For example, once a month, we host a surf clinic where we go to the beach and teach international students how to surf. We've done excursions to New York City, Washington, D.C., New Orleans, so there's that option as well. We do have a number of on-campus housing and dining options. We are a traditional college campus. First and second year students are required to live on campus. For graduate students, international students in particular, we do have a number of spots available to accommodate housing for those students in particular. So those accommodations are certainly an option for international students as well. So a couple things that make UNCW unique. We have been ranked among the nation's top public national universities for the past 3 years. We have a number of partnerships with schools, government agencies, nonprofits that will provide opportunities for internships, volunteer opportunities, and research experience, both on and off campus as well. We are, as mentioned, by the beach. So just having the opportunity to study in a place as beautiful as Wilmington is a huge advantage. 93% of students are employed within 2 years of graduating from UNCW. We offer a variety of scholarships, and we are the only U.S. institution with a degree focused on coastal engineering. Just to give you an idea of what Wilmington looks like, we have it all. We've got the beaches, we've got the downtown. It's a very outdoor friendly city. So the top picture is our skyline of downtown on the river. The middle picture is one of our many beaches. And the bottom picture is another picture of just dining and opportunity to be outdoors and sightsee in Wilmington. So back to some pretty general tips on applying to a public university in the US. Where to start? So you're going to want to research programs of interest. Take a deep dive into these programs. If you know you want to study marine biology, then UNCW is a great option for you because of the research opportunities in the program, the course offerings, the location, etc. Identify 3 to 5 to apply to. There is definitely the opportunity to apply to more, but you should have a top 3 to 5 list once you've done your research and navigated the programs and the offerings provided. Know the application deadlines and required application materials for each program, so you know which institution you're applying to and what they require for admission purposes. From there, you're going to want to start gathering the necessary application materials, so recommendation letters, transcripts, essays, etc. You'll want to ask for letters of recommendation early from recommenders if that's required or if it's optional for an application. Reach out to admissions offices to connect and ask questions. So for example, as an international applicant, you would be working with myself at UNCW. So I would be happy to connect and answer any further questions that you might have. Attend virtual school programs, fairs, and information sessions. This is a great start. This is really getting your foot in the door, making those connections, learning about institutions like UNCW. And then prepare for any necessary exams, GRE, SAT, English proficiency, such as TOEFL or IELTS. Just to note, UNCW does not require the SAT or ACT for admission for international students. And just a breakdown of the timeline for applying to a public university in the US. So you're going to want to gather application materials starting about 12 months before the program start date. Between 6 to 12 months before the program start date, you're going to want to start applying. Applying early is key. Review the timeline, several weeks to several months for application review timelines. So at UNCW, we have a rolling admission policy. So when you apply, it's typically about 6 to 8 weeks until you'll receive a decision for your application. If admitted, you'll then want to submit your proof of funding and any necessary applications and documents for the Form I-20, which will allow you to apply for the student visa if required. At UNCW, once you've submitted the Form I-20 application for the visa process, the I-20 is typically issued within 10 days. You're going to want to allow at least 1 month for visa processing after attending your visa interview. This significantly ranges based off where you are, what your timeline is, so keep that in mind as well. Arrive on campus by the date of an international student orientation, which is typically the week before classes start. So that's just a quick breakdown of kind of the timeline of expecting to apply to colleges in the US. It is very, very helpful to apply early. Tips for applying. As I've mentioned more than once, applying early is key. It's key for a number of reasons, but in particular, it's key for scholarship and funding opportunities. So applying early really puts you in a great position for any automatic consideration for funding. Make sure to research the programs and university offerings. Reach out to your admissions counselor when applying. Be able to explain why you are interested in a particular school and program, not just for your personal statement, but for the visa interview as well. Connect with Education USA. They are going to be a great resource in your home country. You can reach out to your regional advisors through Education USA for visa interview tips, interview practice, or just application guidance as well. And then attend any pre-arrival webinars your program or university may offer. So with UNCW, with our orientation prep, there are a number of modules and enrollment checklist items you'll want to meet before arriving at UNCW for international student orientation and the start of classes. So with all that being said on general tips and guidance, applying specifically to UNCW. For our undergraduate programs, these are our deadlines listed. So fall which is an end of August start, our deadline is April 1st. For spring, which is typically a January start, our deadline is October 15th. Graduate application deadlines vary by program. So you're going to want to reach out to the specific graduate program for clearer instructions. All applicants must have completed the online application form, submitted the application fee. The SAT or ACT is not required, as mentioned, for undergraduate applicants. And then the official transcripts translated to English as well. We do require a minimum GPA of a 2.5 on a 4.0 scale. And then the proof of English proficiency as well. These are our English proficiency requirements, both for the undergraduate and graduate levels. We accept TOEFL, IELTS, and Duolingo. Our exemptions include if you've taken the SAT, you can submit that in lieu of the English proficiency. If you are from a native speaking country, you would be exempt. If you attend a primary English or bilingual school, you would be exempt as well. So these are the requirements. So a bit on funding your education. As I mentioned earlier, applying to a public university in the United States is typically a bit less expensive than a private institution. Your funding options may vary a bit more as well. So you're going to want to start financial planning as early as possible. Researching internal and external scholarship opportunities at specific schools is very helpful too. Understanding the difference between merit and need-based scholarships. So some schools offer both merit and need-based scholarships. Merit scholarships are typically based off your academics. So your GPA, your test scores, if a school requires the SAT, GRE, etc. Those are typically going to be your merit scholarships. Need-based scholarships are typically within financial aid, and that is based off your family's need, based off income, etc. It's also important to understand the cost of living and how it varies from place to place. So comparing Wilmington, North Carolina to, let's say, Washington, D.C., the cost of living is significantly lower in Wilmington, North Carolina than Washington, D.C. So for daily expenses, groceries, if you're living off campus, transportation, those are going to be significantly cheaper at an institution in an area like Wilmington, North Carolina, as opposed to Washington, D.C. So if funding your education is something that you're very concerned about, that's extremely important to keep in mind, that there are certainly places in the United States that are going to be more affordable to live on a day-to-day basis than others. Being in the Southeast region, we are on the lower scale of that as well. You can reach out to your Education USA advisors in your home country as a resource to help you learn about scholarship opportunities as well. And I listed 3 external resources such as internationalscholarships.com and IEFA, which are opportunities for scholarships that do exist out there externally for international students. So feel free to take a picture of that, write those down. They're very, very helpful resources as you are considering studying in the United States. And as I mentioned, UNCW does offer a number of scholarship opportunities to international students. So here's a list of scholarships that we do offer for international students in particular. So for example, we have our Distinguished Merit Scholarship, which is a merit-based scholarship, and that scholarship does range. We then have the Global Student Ambassador Scholarship, the Rotary Club of Wilmington Scholarship, and the University Scholarship application. Those are all separate applications. Some have a set rate, some vary in what you might be given as well. Then there's also the graduate and out-of-state assistantships. These are for graduate applicants only, and these are opportunities for funding your education. They are open to international students at UNCW. You do not see that everywhere, so that is something to certainly look into as well. But with all these options being said, they are stackable, meaning you could receive more than one scholarship, depending on what you qualify for and what you applied to as well. So keep that in mind as you are doing your research for your funding options at institutions, both internally and externally as well. So I went through all of the points on applying to an institution in the United States, a public institution, and applying to UNCW in particular, and what UNCW has to offer to international students. I wanted to invite one of our international students at UNCW to join us today. Ope, if you want to join on screen now at this time, that would be great. I'm going to open the floor to Ope to introduce herself, her program, tell you a little bit about how she ended up at UNCW, and then in the Q&A box, I will save all of the questions that have been asked thus far for after our session with Ope. But if you have any questions specifically for Ope, please add those to the Q&A box, and we will go through those questions. Feel free to ask her about advice to applying to schools in the US, why she chose UNCW, what she likes best about UNCW, her international MBA program, anything that comes to mind, please feel free to ask. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open the floor to you to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you.
Thank you, Riley. Hello, everyone. My name is Ope from Nigeria. So when I decided to go for my master's degree, one of the important things for me was to get as much international experience and exposure as I could get. That was like top on the list for me. So when I was doing my research, I came across this course that is like in partnership between two universities. It's international MBA. So I did a part of my program in England, and I did like the concluding part I'm doing here in the US. So I was like, okay, this was going to be a best fit for me because I could study in England and also study in the US, which was what informed my decision to come for this program. So the international MBA is like run between, I think, 5 or 6 universities. So you have to study in 2 of those universities. You do like your first semester in one university, then the second and third semester you do in another university, depending on the specialization you're interested in. So I wanted to do the finance specialization, which is what is obtainable in the USA at UNCW. So I put in an application for UNCW as well. I think the application process was pretty seamless. And one thing that can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay. So I was saying that the application process was pretty easy and very seamless. It was very direct. Just put in the application, submit your recommendations, and all the supporting documents. It was pretty seamless. And one thing that I noticed as well was anytime I had any questions and I sent emails to admissions, I always got response between 24 to 48 hours. There was always somebody replying to all my questions at the time that I was applying, which helped me a lot. And to my experience here at the university, it's been pretty good. I've not had any cause to complain really, and I just realized that everybody here is friendly and respectful. They, really want to help you. All you need to do is just ask. If you're not sure about something, ask. There's always somebody available to help you. There's loads and loads of support for students, even international students. And the professors are really very friendly and open people. You can walk into your professor's office at any time. If you have questions, you're not clear about something that was taught in class, it's free, it's a very like free environment. And so far so good. I've really loved it here. Yes, so that's about it. And I
There.
noticed that.
Um, okay, I guess I'll go through some of the questions if you're okay with that.
Okay, that's fine.
So we have a question here for you. What is the biggest challenge that you faced joining the university?
Joining the university itself, I do not. There wasn't any big challenge per se. But generally speaking, the biggest challenge I've had was has been accent because I'm from Nigeria. I speak differently. So initially, when I first got here, it was a bit difficult. A lot of people sometimes don't like find it difficult to make out what I'm saying. Though I speak English, but sometimes our pronunciations are a bit different. I think that was just the challenge I had, but it's gotten better since from the first time I arrived here. So I haven't faced any major challenge. Like I said, there's support everywhere. All you need to do is to ask. These supports are available. I know that a lot of students, especially if you're an international student, sometimes you may be a little bit reluctant to go ask for help, but the help is available, the support is available. You just need to like go ask and you'll find it. So I've not really had any major challenge settling here.
Perfect, thank you. And we have a question here. Is the city safe? Can you share more information on living costs? So can you touch on safety of Wilmington as well as where you live in Wilmington, on campus, off campus, your experience there?
Okay, so I currently live off campus, but it's very close to the university. It's just like a walkable distance to the university. The city itself, I think it's for my personal opinion, I think it's very safe. I was discussing with one of my professors some weeks back, and I was telling her that, oh, I'm happy that, this is my first time in the US, and I'm happy that I started out in Wilmington and not like a major or very big city, because everybody here is friendly and respectful. And initially, when I got here and I'm walking on the street, everybody's saying hi, hello to me, everybody's smiling at me. And I'm like, why is everybody smiling at me? Where I come from, we don't smile at strangers. So it's pretty safe here. It's pretty chilled, and people are just respectful of you, and they respect you. So I would say it's safe compared to other major cities. So I live off campus, although there are on campus accommodation, but because I wanted like I'm more of a more matured student, so I just didn't want that campus feel. That was why I decided to stay off campus. And another good thing is, as a student, we have buses, public buses that run within Wilmington. With your student ID card, you don't have to pay for those bus rides. So that has been helpful as well.
Perfect, thank you. And then I mentioned how you are a graduate assistant in the Office of International Students. Can you touch more on your experience as a graduate assistantship, or what is in a graduate assistantship, and any other experiences you may have had with working on campus, internships, anything like that within your program?
Okay, so it's I'm trying. trying to compare it to while I was in England, you don't have as many opportunities to work on campus compared to England that I've seen here. There's been a lot of opportunities for graduate assistantship. There's so many. You just need to find what you're interested in. Since I've been here, have worked in 4 different offices as a graduate assistant, and it's been fun. I've learned a lot. So those opportunities are available, and at least you get paid for it, so you have something to support your living expenses, or to sort out your daily expenses. So yes, there are various graduate assistantship available, a lot. Whether it be, if you're interested in teaching, you could go for teaching assistantship, or if you wanted to do some kind of different type of jobs, there are just a lot of options available on campus.
Perfect. Let's see here. Did you need to take the GRE to apply for your program?
No, I didn't have to. My program doesn't require that.
Okay. And let's see. While you've been in the US studying at UNCW, have you had opportunities to travel around the US at all?
Yes, I've been to other states. I've been to New
Where
York.
have you been?
I've been to New York. I've been to Washington, D.C., and I've been to Georgia as well. You do not need, all you need is just a government approved ID card to travel within the US. You don't need to get any other immigration documents. Just the government approved ID card is fine. Yes, I've been to Raleigh as well, and Charlotte.
And you found it pretty easy to get around to see different places in the US while here?
Yes, it's pretty, yeah, I would say it's easy, because most times you have to, if you don't drive, you may have to travel by air, so it could be a bit expensive if you have to travel by air. So, but most times I just like book my tickets ahead of time, so I get it cheaper. Yes.
Absolutely. All right, let's see here. You answered majority of the questions we have so far. If anyone else has an additional question, please feel free to ask now for Ope. But Ope, I guess another question for our audience. What one piece of advice would you give to an international student applying to a school in the United States?
I think, like you said earlier, you must try to apply as soon as possible. A lot of schools, I know the US compared to some other countries, really have very early deadlines for application. So you need to be sure what your application deadline is, and try to like submit all the required documents. And don't be afraid to ask questions. There's no stupid questions. Once you're not clear about anything, please ask questions. I'm sure there's someone that is willing to, give you further clarifications as well. And you also mentioned the personal statement. That's also very, very, very key. You must be able to explain, and not just for the university right now, also for the immigration officer. You must be able to explain why you want to do this course. Also, how this course will help you achieve maybe what your future plan is, what are your career goals, and how you feel doing this program or this course will help you achieve those career goals. You must be able to explain those to the school and also to the immigration officer. And most importantly, ask questions. As many as you have, just ask questions. Yes.
Perfect. And okay, once you finish your program, can you speak a bit more about your goals after you graduate, what your plans are? Where are you going from here?
So once I'm done with my program, I'm going to apply for the OPT, which allows me to stay back and work for 1 year in the US. If I think for STEM programs, if your course is under STEM, I think the OPT can go for as long as 3 years, if I'm correct. But my course is not under STEM, so it's just 1 year. So I intend to do that. get a job and do my intern. It's like kind of an internship for 1 year. Yes, we can stay back. And afterwards, if you're able to secure an employment that is willing to sponsor you for a work visa, then I can sit through a work visa. But for starters, I'm definitely staying back for my OPT.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna wait just another moment in case anyone has any additional questions for Ope. But I want to go ahead and thank her for joining us today. Hopefully you were able to get some good insight from an international student at University of North Carolina, Wilmington, with Ope's experience. But thank you, Ope, so much for being a part of this and sharing your experience at UNCW and living in Wilmington as well. It looks like the questions have died down a bit, so you are free to go, but thank you again so much for joining us.
Thank you, Bye bye. Take care.
Perfect.
Okay.
With that being said, there are a few questions here that I can go ahead and answer more specific to the admissions process and UNCW at large. If any additional questions arise, please feel free to put them in the Q&A. I've been answering some by typing more specific, but I will go ahead and answer some of these questions. So as far as full funded scholarships, UNCW does not, out of my list that I had for funding opportunities, we don't have a singular fully funded scholarship, but as I mentioned, scholarships are stackable, and that is where external resources like internationalscholarships.com will also come into play for additional funding. So keep that in mind as you are looking for opportunities as well. Ope touched a bit on what happens after we graduate and opportunities that do exist with OPT, CPT. Let's see here. We do offer study abroad or exchange programs. So in the international MBA program, Ope came from England to then study at Wilmington. We have a number of exchange programs across the world. So within some of our programs, there are opportunities to also study elsewhere. So you have that option available to you. Any advice to stand out in the application process? Along with the minimum, so at the undergraduate level, we require a 2.5 on a 4.0 scale. The graduate level, there are the requirements that vary by program. You are given the opportunity to submit your extracurricular involvement. So this is where you can list any clubs, organizations, work experience that you do have. That's a huge opportunity to make yourself stand out as an applicant. And then there's also the essay, the short essay. This is another opportunity to speak specifically on your interest in UNCW, which can help with scholarship consideration. Just general advice when you are writing an essay or in your application stating your interest in the institution. If you clearly have done your research and know specifically why you are applying to an institution and you speak on this, that may very well help you with scholarship consideration. So for example, if you're applying to UNCW because of the marine biology program and because we are researching water pollution and that's something you're interested in pursuing, clearly you've done your research, clearly you have an interest in studying here. That will help us with our scholarship offerings as well. We are more inclined to give a student a scholarship that clearly wants to attend UNCW than someone who is applying to 20 random schools in the United States. So keep that in mind. That's my biggest piece of advice as far as that goes. Criteria for scholarships do vary. Our internal scholarships, as mentioned, the one with the stars are a separate application. The others are automatically considered. So there is that variation, and there are different requirements. Those are all listed on our website. And if you're admitted, I send you all of the requirements as well for those scholarships. Let's see here. Are applicants who have completed their previous degrees in English eligible for an exemption from English proficiency? Yes, so we look at English proficiency on a case-to-case basis. So if you apply, we will look at your English degree and see the eligibility requirements. We'll reach out to you directly for if you would be considered for an exemption on that. I think that's majority of the general questions. There are some specific questions, but please feel free to email me with any specific questions regarding to specific programs or anything like that. I'm happy to answer those further.
Thank you, Riley, for all your answers, and also thanks for all the participants who are joining this webinar. I wanted just to remind you that we are going to share a link after the event and through an email, so you will have the chance to watch the recording of the event in case you are missing, you missed anything. And also you will get access to all the contact details and the information from the UNCW. So you will access to all the information that you may need, and please feel free to get in touch with Docsity or the university itself to get more information and more details on your ambitions and your interests and all the questions you might have. And a question that actually I would like to ask Riley is, what are, in your opinion, the biggest strengths that UNCW has in comparison with other public universities in the US?
I'm sorry, you said the biggest trends?
Strengths, sorry.
Strengths. So some of our biggest strengths, I spoke on what makes UNCW unique. I think these are the biggest points that really diversify UNCW from other public institutions in the US. So clearly our location, you can't be studying at the beach and studying for finals, sitting and watching the sunset. So that's a huge advantage, is our location, making your experience very unique while studying at UNCW. Our scholarship offerings, and I think the transparency of what we provide students is quite a strength. As Ope mentioned, the feeling that you are at home, you're welcomed on campus, the small class sizes are something that are definitely a strength to UNCW as well. And then the campus at large. We are a traditional college campus. All of our classes, housing, dining options are all within the same area. So it's very easy to navigate, very walkable, very safe, making it a true studying in the United States experience as well.
Amazing, thank you. And also, what it might be interesting for our audience is like to explore a little bit more about career opportunities, both in the US but also abroad. Can you give us more detail on that?
Yes, so as I mentioned, you would work with our career service office and our international student office with your immigration advisor on postgraduate opportunities. While you're a student at UNCW, there are a number of opportunities such as research, volunteer, internship opportunities, assistantships that will really add to the breadth of your experience studying at UNCW, making you more competitive for job opportunities and the job market at large. Or if you are studying at the undergraduate level and going off to graduate school. We had a student come from China to study mathematics at UNCW, and he was just accepted in the master's program of mathematics at Columbia University. So just differences in that, having a really strong academic experience along with research, internships, and volunteer experiences really speak to where you may go from there.
Thank you, Riley. And looking at the questions we received, maybe you can tell us how many, if you have any figures about the percentage of students, of international students who decide to stay in the US after they get graduated.
Sure. OPE touched on this a bit. So there's OPT and CPT as your options for staying in the United States after graduating. You'll have to work with your immigration advisor on what those opportunities do look like. It's hard to say up front, but once you are enrolled, we do help you with your long-term goals.
Thank you. And also, another thing that you were mentioning is the importance to apply early enough to get admitted to the UNCW. So maybe you can cover again the closest deadline that you have.
Absolutely. So I mentioned applying early is absolutely recommended. These are the deadlines for the undergraduate programs at UNCW. Our application, for example, for fall 2024 will open this August. So you can apply a year early for that program. Typically, I would say students are applying for the undergraduate programs around December for the following fall start or August start. And for the graduate program, typically in late spring for the fall start is what you'll see.
Thank you very much for the information. And when it comes to the number of the admitted students per year, is there any specific limits or are there any specific programs with which admit a very strict number of people?
Yes, I mentioned our most popular programs at UNCW. These are definitely the most popular, both undergraduate and graduate programs. There were some questions about marketing. We have a bachelor's degree in marketing. We do not have a graduate degree in marketing. We have an online communications master's degree. But these are definitely the most popular programs that we offer. The full list of all of the programs we offer are both on Docsity as well as our website. So you can go there to see the full list. As mentioned, we have over 60 different majors at the undergraduate level and 40 different graduate program offerings. So there are quite an array of programs to be offered.
Thank you. And I saw a further question, which is about the exchange programs. So I guess that there is a variety of opportunities for both American but also international students. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more on that.
Sure. So as mentioned, we do have exchange programs. So if you're looking to then study elsewhere, we have partnerships with universities all over the world. Those are semester long, summer, winter, etc. So those are certainly available as well. If you're interested in studying at UNCW as an exchange student, we also have short-term programs with UNCW where you can come study for a semester or a year.
Okay, great. Thank you, Riley. And one thing that I would like to add is about like the opportunity to work part-time while studying. Do you think that is something that is feasible, that can help students to maybe get more friends, for example, as they are going to be international students, so they are going to be in a different country? Do you offer any kind of support to students to find a part-time job?
For jobs we do have on-campus employment opportunities. As mentioned, OPE is a graduate assistant, so that would be an example. And then we also have work study opportunities on campus, and all of our departments, whether you're interested in working in the library, working in an academic department, working in the Office of International Students, they exist throughout campus and they're readily available.
Great, thank you. And when it comes to the number of international students that you have at UNCW, do you have any figures about like the split of where they come from?
So we have students from over 60 different countries, everywhere from India, Nigeria, Spain, the UK, Costa Rica, Germany, Switzerland, Uzbekistan, you name it, all over the place. We pull students from, so it's easy to feel at home. It's easy to feel like there is a good sense of diversity, which is important to us at UNCW.
Great, amazing, thank you very much. So I think that we actually covered pretty much all the topics that we received questions about. I would like again to remind our audience that they are going to receive the link to the recording of the webinar so after the event. So you can rewatch the event itself in case you missed anything on joined up after the beginning of the event. And so I think we actually got to the end of our webinar. I would like to thank you, Riley, for your time, for joining us today. And also I would like to thank all the participants for joining us. And we hope that this session was useful for you, and look forward to getting in touch with you again during our future events with the University of North Carolina, Wilmington. I don't know, Riley, if you want to add something before we end our session.
Thank you all so much for joining us today. My contact information is on the screen. Again, please reach out to Docsity or myself directly if you have questions on applying. We would be happy to help you.
Thank you very much, Riley. Take care. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.